Hi, everyone. Mia and Aaron had what seemed to be the perfect life. Aaron was the kind of husband people admired, hard-working, kind, and utterly devoted to his wife. Together, they were a power couple, a duo that complemented each other in every way. From lazy weekend brunches to quiet movie nights, Aaron adored Mia and made sure everyone around them knew it. They had been married for 5 years, yet Aaron still looked at Mia with the same sparkle in his eyes as he had on their wedding day. He believed he knew her inside and out, convinced they were soulmates in every sense of the word. But as the weeks went by, subtle changes began to emerge. Little things. Mia, who once eagerly shared every detail of her day, became more reserved. She laughed less, avoided Aaron's gaze at times, and always seemed preoccupied, even when they were alone together. Aaron brushed off these changes as stress from her demanding new job, a high-powered marketing role requiring long hours and frequent travel. Yet, despite his reassurances to himself, a quiet unease settled in his chest, a persistent feeling he couldn't quite shake. The first sign of trouble came on a Friday night. Mia had plans for a girls' night out with her friends. Aaron encouraged her to go, wanting her to enjoy some time away and have fun. But as the night wore on and her texts dwindled to a trickle, an uncomfortable gnawing feeling crept into his gut. When she finally stumbled in late that night, she smelled faintly of cologne and looked a little too disheveled for an evening with her girlfriends. Aaron's suspicions grew, but he pushed them aside. He didn't want to be that guy, the husband who questioned his wife's every move. After all, Mia had never given him a reason to doubt her. Until now. The second sign came 2 weeks later. Aaron was helping Mia with some laundry when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. Last night was unforgettable. When can we do it again? Aaron's heart plummeted. He carefully set the laundry down, his hands trembling. Taking a steadying breath, he turned to Mia. She must have noticed something in his expression because she immediately snatched up her phone, swiping the message away in an instant. "Oh, it's just work stuff," she said hastily, her smile faltering for a brief moment before she forced it back. "You know, just a joke from a client." Aaron managed a weak smile, but the doubt had already taken root, spreading like a shadow over his thoughts. He couldn't forget those words. They echoed in his mind, gnawing at him long after the moment had passed. Over the following days, Aaron found himself withdrawing. He began to watch Mia more closely, noticing every little behavior he had once found endearing. Now, those same quirks felt like clues in a puzzle he couldn't solve. The confirmation of his worst fears came on a rainy Saturday night. Mia said she'd be working late again. Aaron kissed her goodbye and watched her drive away, but the suffocating weight of doubt in his chest wouldn't let him rest. On impulse, Aaron got into his car, heart pounding, and decided to follow her. He kept his distance, turning off his headlights to remain inconspicuous. His palms felt clammy against the steering wheel as he tailed her across town. Eventually, Mia pulled into the parking lot of a small, dimly lit bar on the far side of the city. Aaron parked a safe distance away, his stomach churning as he watched her step out of the car. Waiting by the entrance was a tall, dark-haired man with a broad, confident grin. Mia laughed as she approached him, her joy evident as she wrapped her arms around him in a warm embrace. Aaron's heart shattered. The sight felt like a dagger twisting in his chest, leaving him breathless with pain and disbelief. The thought of confronting her right then and there crossed his mind, but instead, he turned the car around and drove home. The image of Mia in another man's arms was seared into his mind, playing on an endless loop. His vision blurred as anger and betrayal fought for dominance within him. Stumbling into the empty house, Aaron felt 1,000 emotions at once, but was ultimately consumed by numbness. He poured himself a drink, then another, each sip dulling the pain just enough to allow him to think clearly. It was in this haze that Aaron came to a painful realization. There was no salvaging this marriage. The woman he had loved so deeply was gone, replaced by someone he no longer recognized. But rather than lash out, Aaron decided on a different course of action. one that would make Mia feel the full weight of her betrayal. Over the next week, Aaron meticulously planned his departure. He quietly emptied their joint accounts, transferring the funds into a new account she couldn't access. Each day, he packed a few of his belongings, ensuring there was no trace of his absence until the very end. He spoke with his boss, arranging to work remotely for a while, so his departure wouldn't raise any alarms. By the time Mia noticed anything was amiss, it would already be too late. The night before he planned to leave, Aaron booked a suite at a nearby hotel. He knew Mia would likely spend the evening with her mystery man, which worked perfectly with his timeline. That night, while Mia was away, Aaron carried out the final steps of his plan. The house was eerily quiet as he moved through it one last time, packing the last of his essentials. He left a single note on the kitchen counter, a short, simple farewell. "I know everything." There were no explanations, no apologies, just those 3 words, weighted with all the pain and betrayal he had endured. With one final sweep of the house, Aaron closed the door behind him. The place that had once been a home full of love and laughter was now nothing more than a hollow shell, mirroring the emptiness he felt inside. By the time Mia returned, all she would find were empty rooms and the stark realization of what her actions had cost her. Aaron drove away without looking back, the weight on his chest slowly lifting as he charted a new course for himself, a future free from lies, betrayal, and the woman who had broken his heart. The hotel. Aaron sat by the window, a glass of whiskey in his hand. The amber liquid glinted under the soft light of the lamp as he watched the clock tick steadily forward. His mind swirled with emotions, pain, anger, and a strange sense of calm. He imagined Mia walking into the house, her face shifting from confusion to panic as she found the note in the empty rooms. He could almost see her frantically searching, calling his name, only to be met with silence. He hoped, for just a moment, that she'd feel even a fraction of the hurt she had inflicted on him. At dawn, Mia stumbled into the house, the faint scent of someone else's cologne still clinging to her clothes. She called out for Aaron, expecting him to be asleep in bed, but the silence that greeted her felt oppressive. Uneasy, she flicked on the lights and noticed the note on the kitchen counter. Her heart began to race as she read the words. "I know everything." Panic surged through her as she moved through the house, flicking lights on in every room. Her steps grew frantic as she opened closets and drawers, only to find them half empty. The absence of Aaron's clothes, his books, his belongings, even their wedding photos, hit her like a tidal wave. It was as if he had methodically erased himself from her life. Desperate, Mia grabbed her phone and dialed Aaron's number. The calls went straight to voicemail. Her voice trembled as she left message after message, begging him to come back, to talk, to explain. But Aaron didn't answer. He was already long gone. In the weeks that followed, Mia's desperation deepened. She reached out to his friends and family, only to be met with curt replies or silence. She even showed up at his workplace, where she learned he had taken a remote assignment. Every call, every text she sent went unanswered, leaving her with nothing but the echo of her own guilt and regret. Her new relationship with the man she'd betrayed Aaron for quickly unraveled. The thrill that had once excited her fizzled out under the harsh light of reality. Arguments replaced laughter, and the relationship ended as abruptly as it had begun. Mia was left utterly alone, forced to confront the wreckage of her choices. Aaron, meanwhile, began rebuilding his life in a new city. Surrounded by new friends and fresh opportunities, he created a world far removed from the memories of his failed marriage. The pain of betrayal faded over time, replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had taken control of his life, refusing to let the past define him. Looking back, Aaron felt no bitterness, only a calm satisfaction. He had given Mia what she wanted, freedom, but in the end, that freedom had left her trapped in loneliness and regret. Sometimes, he thought, the greatest revenge is simply moving on,